Good morning, seventh grade class. How are you today? So today we are going to be taking notes again. I know we've been taking notes the last couple of days, and it's not the most exciting thing, but it is building a foundation. And then we will be doing activities and things based on the things that we've taken notes on, and you'll refer back to these constantly, and that will sort of be your rock as we go through this first unit, okay? So today we're going to talk about plot structure, which yesterday we talked about narrative elements. These two things are very closely related. So in order to set up your notes, I want you to do the same thing you did yesterday, except we're going to start with diagramming a plot on our notes, okay? And if it's underlined, then you need to write it. And if you lose track, all of the notes are going to be in the lesson in Otis, okay? So you should be able to find them there and double check them, make sure that you have everything. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to draw this plot diagram in your notes with introduction slash exposition, catalyst, rising action with those events, and then number 5, the climax, number 6, the falling action, and 7, the conclusion or resolution. And if you're watching this video, you should pause it right now and draw this. And then this is just the same picture with a mountain behind it, showing kind of what a story looks like. It's sort of compared to a hill or mountain, okay? So plot is the order of events in a story. It's what comes next in a story, and it involves characters and a conflict. It's usually a conflict that is something that the protagonists have to overcome. We talked a little bit about conflict yesterday. Conflict is a problem that characters have to solve, and it's essential to the story because it makes it interesting. Without a conflict, there really isn't much story. And you should be pausing this video throughout to take your notes, by the way, because I'm obviously doing a shorter version. So common plots that you see in stories that you hear, read, or watch every day are a goal that characters want to achieve. Maybe like a kid wants to run a marathon and the struggle to get to that point. Or an obstacle the characters need to overcome, something difficult that is happening in a character's life. A mystery the characters have to solve, sort of a Scooby-Doo kind of thing. A villain the characters have to defeat. This is a very common one for superheroes. Or a treasure the characters want to find, maybe a Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing. These are very common plots that you see. Actually, most of the movies you watch and the books you read fit into one of these plot structures. The introduction or exposition of a story is the beginning, where you meet the characters, you see the setting, the time and place, you learn the basic situation that is happening, and you get an example of the protagonist's normal life. And I'm going to go shut my door because Mr. Mike is out there doing something. So by the end of the introduction or the exposition of a story, we know what the protagonist's normal life is, okay? So the next thing that happens is the catalyst. This is what takes the story from that normal life that the character's living to an adventure, whatever the story is. It usually happens after the introduction, and it's an event that launches the story into action. Normal life is disrupted, and the adventure begins. Next is the rising action. This is the main part of the story. Most of a story fits into the rising action. This is the whole journey of the protagonist leading up to the big event of the story. Each event in the rising action increases the intensity of the conflict. It gets bigger, it gets more dramatic, leading up to the climax of the story. So each event within the rising action is like a mini story, like steps on a staircase. If you think of a Star Wars, each of the little things that happens, like Luke and Han Solo have to rescue Princess Leia, that's an event. They get stuck in the trash compactor, that's an event. These are all like mini stories, mini things that they have to overcome. These are the events of the rising action. Number five is the climax. This is the most exciting point of the story. The whole story leads to this. It's usually near the end, and it's where the conflict develops to a high point of suspense or interest. This is the Death Star blowing up. This is the climax. And it leaves us in a suspense because we are wondering, will the protagonist succeed or fail? And then after the climax, we have the falling action. This is Luke Skywalker getting back into the bay with his X-Wing and talking to the other people and giving hugs and high fives and all that stuff after they've blown up the Death Star. It's where the action slows down and we tie up loose ends in the story and resolve things that people might otherwise be wondering about. And then you have the conclusion, the resolution. This is part of the falling action. It's the end of the conflict, and it reveals the final solution to the problem. So the characters can succeed or fail. In most hero stories, they succeed. Most of the stories that you guys read, they probably succeed. But there are stories where the characters fail. And either way, the protagonist has a new normal after the conclusion of the story. And that is the end of our notes for today. So moving forward, we will be doing some activities to deepen our knowledge of these things that we've taken notes on the last 2 days. And then we'll have a quiz next week. Okay, so I will see you tomorrow.